Welcome to the fundamental analysis for tutorial series for forex traders. We are going to discuss another topic today. So today we are going to discuss what is deflation. So deflation is an economic phenomena involving a generalized decline in the prices of basket of goods and services in a country or region. Or in other words, you can say that the purchasing power of consumer increases as a result of strength in the currency. So there are mainly four reasons for deflation. Number one, decrease in aggregate consumer demand. Number two, excessive supply of goods, and that can happen because of more productivity due to technological improvements. And number three, reduction in money supply. And number four, contraction in credit due to defaults and bankruptcies. So let's discuss deflation in more detail. Deflation usually happens when the annual inflation rate turns negative. Such an event is usually brought about by a reduction in the money supply or credit. It is the opposite of inflation and is therefore often referred to as negative inflation. It occurs once the rate of inflation falls below 0%. So when deflation happens, there is a certain behavior that consumers exhibit. They try to delay their purchasing decisions because they expect prices will drop further and their profit margins will be reduced. So there's also slow economic activity, there is also slow industrial production, business profit starts to decline, there are falling wages, and there are layoffs that in turn increases unemployment. So there is a way to manage deflation, and in every country the central banks have this duty to manage deflation. So there are certain tools that they employ to manage deflation. They avoid deflation to use different monetary policy tools. For example, when it was COVID-19 pandemic, the central banks all across the world lowered interest rates. The main purpose was to facilitate credit flows, and they introduced massive bond purchasing programs to stimulate inflation by boosting the money supply. And as a result, there were some effects or fallout for these central bank measures in the forex market as well, and because they translate into sharp increase in currency volatility. So let's now define deflation versus inflation. Deflation is actually the opposite of inflation, the common trend of rising prices. Deflation is often an indicator of looming recession as well. If inflation is high, it can be described as too many dollars chasing too few goods, or too many units of money chasing too less units of goods. On the other hand, deflation is associated with few dollars chasing a lot of goods and services. So what causes deflation? As we discussed, there are two main causes of deflation. Decline in consumer demand, and number two, increase in supply. So when there is a decline in consumer demand, it's often results in declining prices, which is evidence of a deflationary environment. And some potential contributing factors for a decline in consumer demand are a reduction in government spending or rising interest rates. So when interest rates are higher, consumers may be more inclined to save money and borrow less, which means less spending. On the other hand, when it's an increase in supply, an underlying factor of increase in supply of goods can be increase in the economic output. This type of increase has historically come from advances in productivity arising from advances in technology. And if output exceeds consumer demand, the prices of goods can decline. So now let's take a look at an example of deflation. For example, let's look at a scenario. The central bank brings in $100 into circulation in the market, and then there's an apple vendor who sells apples for 10 per kilo apples for $10. Employees have an hourly rate of $20 and can buy 2 kilos of apples after working for just 1 hour. So now what happens? The central bank then now decreases the money supply in the market to $70. So now there are lesser dollars in the market, available in the market to buy goods and services. So what happens? The apple vendor adjusts the prices and lowers the price to $7 per kilogram of apples. So assuming that the wages remain the same, the consumers can afford almost 3 kilograms of apples by working just 1 hour of work. So consequently, during a deflation, employers often adjust wages, which leaves consumers with less money to spend. This triggers the deflationary spiral pressure and prices continue to fall. And that's about it. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Have a good day. Bye bye.